Hi, it's Ian. I've not done a video for a while. It's summer 2020 here in the UK, and my daughter's been off school. I've had a number of courses I've been running. I've been running I launched a 4-month version of my course, The Journey, a course of self-discovery, of discovering and releasing our true nature. I'm running that over 4 months with a group of people. I'm getting prepared for my September guide training course, and I've got all the other things that I'm often required to do just to continue living life. So not had a lot of time to make a video, but I thought I was on Nature Connection World last week, and I was reading some of the posts on there, and there was a post about an oak tree, and lots of people are posting on Nature Connection World about trees and their connection to trees. And so I thought I'd come out and make a video today. It's a video I've never made, but it's a video I've always wanted to make, and then for some reason it hasn't felt right to do it. And this week it just felt right. I don't know if you know what I mean. I just, sometimes I'll pull my camera out like today, and I want to talk about something, and I end up talking about something totally different to what I set my heart and mind and spirit on talking about, because it wasn't the right time for the one that I had intended to. But today it just feels very like now is the time to share this story, and it's a story that goes all the way back to about 1998, long before I started Cotswold Natural Mindfulness. Started that in 2014, and long before Nature Connection World and the guide training and all of that work I'm doing, helping people connect and reconnect with nature and our true nature. And this, 1998, I wasn't as connected to my nature and nature back then. I was still in my 30s back then, and I was very interested in hypnosis, and I was very interested in something called neuro-linguistic programming. So I was researching and searching for people that I could learn from, and I found a few people. I found out that a hypnotist, a celebrity hypnotist, and somebody who was on the TV and on radio that I'd heard a lot in here in the UK, somebody called Paul McKenna. I heard that he was also curious and interested in neuro-linguistic programming, and he tracked down the founders, or one of the co-founders of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, called Dr. Richard Bandler. And so through connections I made with Paul McKenna, and I then made connections with one of the co-founders of NLP, Richard Bandler, and became very fascinated in states of consciousness and understanding how we learn and how we rewire and wire our brains, and how beliefs, how to change beliefs. So what I was kind of interested in back then was how do you change beliefs? How do you change self-limiting beliefs and those sorts of things? Oh, wonderful. I've just found a lovely spot here with some water. So I might just stop here so the camera's not shaking so much. Oh. Got a dog following my little dog. Come on, Lola, let's go this way. So where was I? Oh yes, so I was going to stop there, but then I changed my mind because of that dog. But I found a spot to sit here on a nice branch, and hopefully the dogs are going the other way. It's interesting, isn't it? You come out into a beautiful forest like this, and I come off the beaten track, and the one place that I come to, a dog and a dog walker seems to be in that same spot. I think the dog was following us, tracking my little dog, rather than they're coming this way on purpose. So anyway, that's back to what I was talking about. Yeah, so I was talking about back in 1998 when I wasn't doing so much nature connection, but what I was doing was researching, getting very interested in, how the mind works and how we can, how people have beliefs and how you can change limiting beliefs and develop. What I recognise now was developing consciousness. Back then I kind of saw it very much related to my work, and I saw it very much related to training and development and how to sort of change behaviours by understanding the brain and the mind and states of consciousness. But what I realise now, all these years later, now in my 60s, that work really was the birth of my interest in consciousness, raising consciousness and expanding consciousness, but also connecting to what I call my true nature, the consciousness within me that is pure me, as opposed to the consciousness within me that is a manufactured and a manipulated way of thinking, feeling and believing in the world. I'm not going to go much further into it than that, because what I want to do is use this time to sort of share this story that, as I say, I've been wanting to share for a long time. And I'm in a wood here, very thick old wood that's been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's the perfect place to share this story. And what I'm looking for around here is I'm looking for a fallen tree. And I'm looking for a fallen tree because I've always been fascinated by fallen trees, and I've always been drawn to these big trees that have fallen. And there's a reason I've always been drawn to them, and it links all the way back to my childhood when I was really interested in archaeology. The job I wanted to do as a kid was I wanted to be an archaeologist, but I kind of was turned off. I was turned off that idea by the thought of going to university and then spending hours and hours out in the cold weather just digging the ground for somebody else. I couldn't be the archaeologist. I had to kind of go through that process of doing my apprenticeship to become an archaeologist and doing a lot of study to become a qualified professional archaeologist. If I'd have known back then that I could have been on something like Time Team, I could have been running a TV program about it, like Tony Robinson, who was Baldric in Blackadder. He made a second career for himself, didn't he? Because he loved archaeology as well, and he was going out running that program Time Team, which is a fantastic introduction for people to archaeology. Very mindful practice, actually. Archaeology and mindfulness is becoming quite popular now as well. One, because get outside into beautiful places like this. So I wanted to be an archaeologist, and one of the theories I had was when I saw a fallen tree, when a tree had gone over in a forest like this, I'll see if I can find one. I used to believe that would be a great place to do some archaeology, because when a tree that's been there for hundreds of years, maybe 500 years, gets blown over and gets uprooted, the roots come up, that if I dig around underneath that tree, I've got more chance of finding some archaeology there than sort of digging in a field that's been ploughed for decades and hundreds of years. And so to me, I thought that makes sense. Go find a tree that's become uprooted and dig between the roots. So that's why that's originally why I became attracted to trees, uprooted trees. Now, back in 1998, take you back to that time I was telling you about when I was exploring NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and I was in a pub because it was I was in London, and I was in a pub after being part of a week-long program about training. We were helping train people to be master practitioners in NLP, and I was talking to some very interesting people. There were two people in the pub that were part of the group I was with, who were from Ireland, and they were very in touch with nature, very interesting. And the woman, as the couple, there were a couple there, and the guy was doing sort of he was doing readings for people using runes, And she was talking about white witchcraft and things. So I was fascinated by this back in 1998 and talking away. And she said, "Oh, do you want me to do a reading on you for you?" So I kind of said, "Well, yeah, that'd be interesting." And so she just took my hand and she closed her eyes and then sort of went into a sort of a trance, and I felt very calm, and her hand got very hot. I remember her hand got very, very warm while she was doing this. And then she opened her eyes and said, "What's your connection with trees?" Which totally side-swiped me there. I was like, okay. We were in the city, and as I said, back then I was more into sort of a corporate world. And I said, "Oh, well, funny you should say that." And I shared with her the story about my interest in trees and, looking for treasure underneath trees, in the roots of trees. And she said, "You have a very, very strong connection with trees." She said, "Which is why I asked you that question." She said, and I said, "Well, yeah, I love oak trees." She said, "Well, an oak tree is a very special tree." And she gave me lots of information about, the symbolism of oaks. And she then said, "Yes," she said, "you are a searcher as well. You're somebody who is searching. You're looking for something." And now I started to sort of, tune in to what she was talking about, because, I recognise that in me. I'm always looking for things. In fact, if my wife ever loses anything, she often says to me, "Oh, can you help me find such and such?" And I enjoy searching for it. I enjoy looking for things. And quite often, because I enjoy looking for things, I quite often find things that other people, would never find, because, they haven't got the time or the focus or maybe the interest in looking for very long. Whereas I'll just keep looking and looking and looking, because I'm passionate about finding things. I think, some of you that know me quite well now will know that, my desire to find a connection with nature and our true nature is something I'm passionate about. And I think she was picking up on that. I'd like to think that's what she was picking up on back then in 1998. And she said, "Tell me more about this interest in the roots of trees." And I said, "Well, I believe that there's, if there's something's hidden, it's quite likely, if something's been hidden a long time ago that's valuable, that could be found. And one of the reasons it may never have been found is because trees have now grown through that." Excuse me a second, I'm just going to duck under a tree branch. Ooh. But, it could be, I said, it could be because, something that's hidden, trees have grown up through it. And once the tree goes over in a storm, once a storm takes a tree down, digging in those roots is a good place to find it. So I just shared that story with her, and she went, "Oh, I see." And then she closed her eyes again, actually, and still holding onto my hand, which is, I started to feel a bit uncomfortable with that at that time. And then with her eyes still closed, she reached out her hand and she touched me here on my chest, here, near my heart. And she said, "Ian," she said, "you're looking in the wrong place. What you're searching for is a treasure, but it's not underneath the roots of a fallen tree." She said, "It's in here. You've got to search within your own roots. You've got to search within for that treasure," which I thought was just completely stunned me where I was and I think the whole experience was very strange, because as she said that, and as she touched me here and was holding my hand as well, I felt a surge of energy come from her hand into my chest. And the weird thing about it was, I had it for the whole of the rest of that evening. I could feel it. I felt it the next day all the way back on the train, travelling back on the train back to Gloucestershire from London. I felt this feeling of euphoria that I had for no reason. I mean, it was like being, semi-drunk. It was like being kind of, in that state, not when you're falling over drunk, but when you've just kind of drunk enough to sort of feel yourself and feel liberated and feel there's no barrier. That usually comes with alcohol just before you make a fool of yourself. But this just lasted and lasted and lasted. It lasted all the way until I got home. And then as I walked into my house and was greeted by my family, and I saw all of the problems and all of the things that I'd left at home when I'd been away, it kind of just went. And I remember searching and searching for that feeling back. I would go out, search in forests like this, and as you see behind me, I found a fallen tree here with the roots all showing. So I'd go out searching, and when I got to a space like this with a tree with the fallen roots, I'd put my hand just underneath here, because this is an area that's very rarely, an area of a tree that's very rarely touched. We quite often, we talk about giving trees a hug and things like this, but you don't usually touch the roots of it. And what's really interesting, when I come in and I touch the roots of an upturned tree, it connects me back to that feeling that I got when that was shared with me, that idea, that connection between the roots of a fallen tree and the roots deep within me, with my nature. And I suspect, looking back on that, and I have done for a long time now, that was the start, that was the beginning of my journey to connecting with nature, but connecting within more deeply with my true nature, my true roots, what I call my instinct that I've inherited from generations of ancestors, going way back to the beginning of life on this planet. There's a connection through my instinct. There's a connection through the feelings that I have through my body, the feelings that I can feel tangibly from touching things, but also the feelings that can be generated within my body based on what I think and what my internal feelings, my internal connection to that. It comes through my emotions, and my thoughts. The thoughts that I'm having as well, all align with that. And then my intuition. So combination of instinct, feeling, thoughts, and intuition, all are signposts and guides and pathways to my true nature. And I think I've been on that journey ever since that experience. So I thought I'd share that with you. I'd be interested to know if you've had experiences like that, if you can actually pinpoint a time when nature connection came into your consciousness in that same way. I mean, this was quite a dramatic, this was quite a, as I said, it was so long lasting, and it was such a surprise to have that experience to me. It was a real awakening. It was almost electrical. When I say energy, it was almost like I've described it before. It was like when you used to jump start a battery. If you had a flat battery and you'd get a car that was driving, you'd start the car up, and then you'd attach the battery in the car that was already turning over and the engine was already running, and then you'd attach it to the battery and to the flat battery, and it would charge it and it would bring it back to life. A little bit like when you see on these medical series on the TV where they somebody's heart stops and they kind of give it a shock and bring you back with those paddles. It not maybe as drastic as that for me, but it was like that. It was a very surprising shock and jolt of how did that happen? Where did that come from? That was really strange. But the fact it then lasted, and that I'm able to reconnect with that feeling, that coming alive inside, which some of you will know from one of my natural mindfulness exercises that I share and practices that I guide people with. This coming alive inside, it was like rather than being a slow burn, it was a shock to the system. And I'm not surprised, because at that time I was definitely not on the right path for me. I was definitely not on a path to a deeper connection with nature and my true nature. I was on a path with a deeper connection with the corporate world and earning a living and living a life that was very far removed from a life that supports my well-being. And so it was, to me, I think I can connect to that and say that's an incident that was the spark. So if you've got one of those, if you've got something that sparks for you this passion for discovering and connecting with nature and our true nature, oh my gosh, Some deer have just run past. There they go. The dog's chasing. Oh, don't know if I caught them. There they go. Oh, 2 deer just ran past me. Oh, there it is. There she is, up on the top. Can you see there's the back end of her there by the tree? So incredible. There she goes. Lola, leave her. Be kind. Lola, Lola, Lola. Wow. I knew it was the right time to tell this story. I just felt it was the right time, and to be here and have those deer just come so close is a confirmation for me that this was the right time to tell that story. Sorry that it's been a 20-minute video. I had no idea how long it was going to be, but I hope you found that meaningful. As I said before, if you've got one of those stories, please share them, because when we share these stories, particularly through Nature Connection World, where I'll be putting it on YouTube as well, so people might be watching this that don't know what Nature Connection World is. Nature Connection World is a community platform for nature conscious people who either are interested in guiding nature connection for others, or just interested in practicing nature connection practices like natural mindfulness, forest bathing, Shinrin-yoku, forest therapy, any of those. So that's Nature Connection World, and I'll put a link under this video to that in my YouTube, on the YouTube clip of this. It's community.natureconnectionworld, community.natureconnection.world for the community. It's a free community. Come and join us. We've got over 500 people. I'd love it to get up to 1,000 people, and they're from all over the world, guides and practicing members. So it's a lovely place to come if you want to escape. If you want to be online and connect with people online, but you want to escape from all the craziness and the manufactured and manipulated mindlessness of social media. It's a much kinder and more calm place and more interesting place to be. So yeah, come and join me there. For those of you that are already on Nature Connection World, thank you for being part of it. Please, as I say, share your experiences, the sparks for you as well, and keep sharing Nature Connection World with people as well. See if we can get some more people on there too. Because this sharing is wonderful. It's a way of pollinating nature consciousness. It's a way of pollinating a connection with nature, nature and our true nature. And pollinating, we are pollinators. Bees and butterflies teach us this, that as they go about their daily business of collecting pollen from plants and looking after themselves, they're also sharing the seeds of these plants. And I want to share the seeds of nature consciousness and nature connection practice for people. And you can all help me do that. So share this, because the ripples will go wide. And these stories are just wonderful. The more of these stories we can hear that are quite a bit unusual and not very scientific, they're kind of a bit, what some would call woo-woo, but they're wonderful, real stories. You can't fact check that one, whether it's right or wrong, because I experienced it. And, hand on heart, literally, I experienced that experience that stayed with me and guided me to where I am today. So it was definitely of value and freely given by the person that did that. Freely gave me that, which I think is why it was more powerful. It wasn't something I paid for. It was something that she freely gave, and I hope in some way, with what I've done with this, I've kind of returned that value back to her. Who knows? She might see this video and get back in touch with me. It's just somebody you meet and then never meet again, but leaves a mark. So anyway, take care. Please keep in touch, and if you've got questions about my guide training or any questions about the journey of self-discovery, I'll be running more of those in the future. So let me know. And any questions you might have about what I do. So anyway, thanks ever so much. Take care, and I look forward to seeing whatever you post. Bye-bye now.